Thank you, everyone, and I appreciate you being here, and for those who've been here for a while, for staying as we deliver this update. As you do know, and has publicly been described earlier today, a tornado is confirmed by the National Weather Service struck what turns out to be 4 towns in the county of Erie, starting in the town of Hamburg, through the town of Orchard Park, the town of Collins, and ending in the town of Holland near Route 16. The damage is, of course, there are some structural damage to a number of homes in the area. We've, of course, seen the damage here at the Fairgrounds gaming facility, not only to the fairgrounds itself, but to the vehicles that were here. The most important thing is there was no loss of life. There were some minor injuries that have been reported to us, including one individual in the Mount Vernon area of Hamburg who was taken to a local hospital after suffering a puncture wound as a result of an item that struck the woman. But thankfully, no loss of life is the most important thing. I am pleased to be joined by a number of representatives from local government here. First off, joined by Senator Chris Jacobs, who represents this district, as well as Assemblyman Sean Ryan. I thank them for being here. We also are joined by Senator Tim Kennedy. From the town of Hamburg, we have a number of representatives here, starting with Hamburg Supervisor Stephen Walters, the Hamburg Highway Superintendent Tom Best, as well as Tom Best Jr., council member from the town of Hamburg. We have the Hamburg Chief of Police Gregory Wickett, as well as Hamburg Mayor Tom Moses. Just an update on some road closures. Route 77 by Chestnut Ridge Park is still closed, as well as Route 16 between Blanchard and Holland, Glenwood Road in Holland, though the 400 has been closed and traffic is still being diverted until they're able to clear off Route 16 in the town of Holland. We also have a couple other roads. Hayes Hollow Road in the town of Colden is still closed due to tree damage, as well as power lines that are down, as well as Bame Road in the town of Orchard Park. I want to thank the first responders who worked right off the bat during the height of the storm, when it was realized that this was more than a significant thunderstorm, for the work that they've done, our friends in law enforcement, and of course our friends in New York State. And I want to thank Governor Cuomo, who called me very early on to inquire as to what had happened here, whether there was a tornado, and he assured me, as he has done in the past, that the state would be there to help us if needed. And of course, state resources were brought to bear immediately. So on behalf of the people of Erie County, I want to thank all local first responders, our friends in the Department of Public Works, and we have a number of representatives from our public works here, both from the county as well as from local government, as well as state officials who jumped to it to ensure that houses that had damage on it were checked out, that individuals were confirmed to be safe, and most importantly, that we as a community come to help each other in a time of need. We're very lucky. This passed in a location in which we know in 3 weeks we'll have thousands of individuals here for the Erie County Fair, and thankfully there were only a few hundred on site. We're also very lucky that when it comes to the town of Hamburg and Orchard Park, which have some very high level of population, it hit the least dense population centers in the town of Hamburg and Orchard Park. It hit the rural sections. So while we have a confirmed tornado that hit this region, it hit at areas where they have the lowest amount of population. So as a result, we have no fatalities and just some limited injuries. And on behalf of the people of Erie County, we can all be very thankful for that. Once again, I want to thank Governor Cuomo for once again activating state resources to assist us in a time of need. Thankfully, it is not as bad as it could have been, but no matter what, you have to prepare for the worst and respond to whatever you get. And we got something that we haven't seen here in a long time, which is a confirmed tornado in Erie County. And I want to thank the governor for what they've done and turn it over to the governor at this point. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. First, let me begin by applauding the county executive for his leadership. Situations like this, government leadership matters, and skill and ability matters, and the county executive once again showed that he was right on top of it from the very beginning. As you heard, National Weather Service has certified that it was a tornado. They'll do some more research to determine what size, what strength, but it was a tornado that came in and moved across the affected area. The good news is that there were no fatalities, and there could have been. This was a very dangerous weather condition. So in that sense, we were lucky. We have some cleanup to do. 100 National Guard have been called out and are arriving now, and they're going to help removing debris from roadways, yards, etc. Homes that were affected, the National Guard will be there to help people with their homes and their yards. Some homes apparently were damaged by falling trees, falling debris, etc., and the National Guard will be there for them. We have stockpiles of emergency equipment, and we're bringing out 200 generators because there are people without power, and many people need power in their home, not just for the normal essentials, but many people are on oxygen, they have medical conditions, etc., and they need power in their home, so the emergency generators are available if someone's in that situation. The number of people without power was as high as 23,000. The number is now down to about 6,000 or 7,000. We have called out from the state side other power companies in the region to send additional personnel and additional trucks and crews to come help with the restoration of power. Of those who are without power, about half of the cases we believe can be quickly remedied, maybe as early as tonight, where people will start getting their power back. We still have about 3,000 or 4,000 homes where we haven't fully diagnosed what the problem is to restore the power, and that's why we're bringing the extra crews as a precaution. Sometimes if there's extensive damage, it can take a significant amount of time to bring the power back, and that's why we want to make sure that the crews are on site. There's a concept called mutual aid that we have used one too many times. When a situation like this happens, it overwhelms the local power company. We can call in the neighboring power companies to come in to help. And that's exactly what we've done, and crews are on their way now. We have also the state police who have called out additional personnel, and we have about 60 state police who will be assisting. As the county executive said, some roads are closed and people will have to have a detour, and the state police can be especially effective with that. I want to thank the local elected officials who the county executive named, but they were here, they were helpful, and once again they all came together and worked together as a team. And it's good to see. It's good to see people come together and work as one, work as a team, work unified to actually address the problem and get people back to life as normal, and I think that's exactly what's happening here. Mother Nature likes to test us, I think. 7 feet of snow was a test. Flash flooding the other week was a test. The tornado is a high-level test. I think maybe we've graduated to the next level of testing by Mother Nature, but Buffalo and Erie County are ready for it, and they can handle it. The first responders were extraordinary. You have to remember, in a situation like this, you really don't know what you're walking into, and the first responders move forward whatever the call, which is really amazing when you think about it. Many times they don't know what they're walking into, but that's their job, that's their duty, and that's exactly what they do. I want to applaud the county officials who were on the spot, the town officials. Everyone did exactly what they needed to do. Otherwise, the situation may have been worse. So count our blessings, no fatalities. There was extensive property damage. That can be fixed, you know. Homes can be fixed. Debris can be removed. From my point of view, as long as we haven't lost human life, we're ahead of the game. And that's what happened here. Also to all the neighbors who handled it extraordinarily well and came out to help one another. That's what makes New York a special state. I like to say when things are at their worst, New Yorkers are at their best. And that's when they shine. And that's what happened here today. Thank you. Questions for myself or any of my colleagues?
Governor, would this have been warned of or anything like that in that weather network you've been trying to set?
You know, Mother Nature didn't call me on this one. We are putting in place, as we speak, the most sophisticated weather network system in the country, weather detection system. Very sophisticated electronic equipment that can help detect storms, rain flow, etc. So we have notice. A situation like this, the key is notice. If you know even 30 minutes beforehand, even 20 minutes beforehand, you can warn people, you can start to deploy. I don't know, this tornado apparently came in off the lake. I don't know where the sensors we're planning would be placed, but in general, yes. The weather detection system for storms, flooding especially, high winds, it's very effective at detecting those kinds of situations, tracking the path from sensor to sensor, because we will have hundreds of sensors across the state. And you can follow the pattern of the sensors so you get an idea of the direction of the storm.
Governor, once the assessment has been made as to how much damage there was, is there going to be any direct money coming from the state to help with the repair costs, whether it's the Hamburg Fairgrounds itself, Chestnut Ridge Park, or any of the homes that were affected?
Well, in a situation when we have a disaster, basically we have minimum thresholds of damage that have to be hit. For example, we now have on Lake Ontario, we have very serious flooding, and we just authorized a $55 million program for those homes and businesses who have been affected by the flooding on Lake Ontario. Many of them have just been wiped out. Many businesses have been commercially wiped out because this was their season. And if the boaters don't come, if people can't get into their restaurant or their place of business, obviously they incur significant damage. We need to do a damage assessment here first to see what it is. But if it hits a minimum threshold, if it's more than the county can bear or more than a homeowner can bear, then the state will step in.
Does that minimum threshold vary county by county?
It depends storm by storm. In most cases, the state then turns around and asks the federal government for help, because the federal government has the main disaster response program, and that federal program has very specific thresholds that have to be hit. There are occasions where a community was damaged, and even though it didn't meet the federal thresholds, we made a determination on the state side that even though the state couldn't get reimbursed by the federal government, the state provided reimbursement anyway. So we do that on a case-by-case basis when we find out the extent of the damage.
As you well know, there's a huge event here in 19 days. Is there anything, beyond that threshold that the state can do to help expedite, repairs? I mean, the roof that you're probably about to see, if you haven't seen it yet, the damage is pretty extensive.
Well, we will work, we have a great working relationship with the county. And if there's any way we can work with the county to get the facility up and running, we want the fair to happen. We want it to be perfect and go very well. So if there's anything the state can do, we will. That's why we're here.
Governor, have you toured the damage by air?
Not by air, no. I have driven through. I'm going to take more of a tour now. The restoration of power is important. Now, luckily, we're not in the winter months, and it's not going to be about heat, but you would be surprised how many people are dependent on power to the home for any number of reasons, as I mentioned before, medical reasons, etc. And we want to make sure if there are people in that situation that we're getting them the help they need.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you.